If you are wanting to leave the gym and start your own independent training business, but uncertain how to set it up, or say you've already made that leap of working for yourself, but you're not really certain if you've sort of set it up properly, or you might be missing some things to help you make sure that you create your dream business, that is what today's episode is all about. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you those first steps that you need to be taking in order to set up your dream independent business. Welcome to the Solo Trainer Podcast. This podcast is for personal trainers, solopreneurs, those who are thinking about leaving the gym, and for those who already have. Here you're going to get real stories, expert advice, and coaching strategies to help you create a thriving business. I am Ginger Seamus. I am your host. I have been independent and on my own for 9 years. I literally have just celebrated my 9th anniversary on January 1st, marked 9 years since I trained my first client under my 7 core business. And it's so exciting to think that about how long I have been doing this. And I think it's important to celebrate those milestones. So, like I said, in today's episodes, I'm going to be sharing what you need to do to set up your business. And again, even if you have already left to go on your own, but you're not certain whether you've done all the pieces, you want to be sure to listen in. So, there are 5 main areas that you are looking to set up to start your business. That is your owner setup, your legal setup, your financial setup, your marketing setup, and your building setup. And so I'm going to be diving into each one of these pieces and giving you 3 actions for each of those to make sure they're set up properly. So it's going to be a lot of actions I'm going to be covering, and I'm going to be going through it rather quickly. So what I recommend for you is, 1, you can sit and take some notes, but 2, what you really want to grab, if you haven't already, is the Solo Trainer Guidebook and Checklist that is free on the website. This is everything I wish I knew for getting started in my business, and it's going to walk you through everything that I'm sharing today in more, because there is a lot more, but these are the first things that you need to do to get your business up and going. And so that is a great resource for you to refer back to. Again, it has a checklist that's going to help you stay organized. So you'll want to grab that. You'll find the link for it below in the description or show notes. So you want to be sure to grab that freebie. Okay. So I've broken down these first steps that you need to take for setting up your business into these 5 areas for business setup. And the first one is the owner setup. Oftentimes, I think this gets overlooked or not really thought about when you're starting your business, or if even at all, but it's a crucial thing for you to have to take action on and work on in order to be sure that you grow the dream business that you want. So the actions that are part of the owner setup, the first one is defining your why. Be really clear about why you're wanting to start your business. What is the reason that you are leaving the gym to go work for yourself or already have left? What is that really deep reason that this was the best option for you to make that leap into being a business owner? And you want to be real clear and specific on that. There are many times in your business where you're going to have ups and downs, and you need to think back to your why to help you just trudge forward and through those hard times. Even consider writing that why somewhere where you can see it very often. I had my why on like a sticky note by my computer. You might make like a screen wallpaper on your phone, something like that. That's going to help you constantly remember the reason that you have gotten into this business. The second action underneath the owner setup is number 2 is to determine your goals. What are your dreams and aspirations for this business? What would you ultimately it like to look like? And so to write that out, because if you don't have clarity on the goal you want to achieve, then it's hard to make sure you're going in the right direction, or if you need to pivot some. Now, goals can change later on, you can kind of rethink, actually, this is what I want instead, and that's totally fine. But getting started, what is it that you're really wanting your business to look like? This is, same with our clients. We need to have a vision of what they're hoping to gain out of working with us, with taking personal training and their fitness and well-being, so that we can help best guide our programming and how we train them. We also, speaking of our clients, we also ask them about our why. So going back to the why, that's why it's so important. We want to know our clients' why for their coming to you, so that you can be sure, you can remind them that from time to time, or the why of why they're working on their goals, to help them stay driven and motivated and to continue on when things are really challenging. So you got the first one is to really define your why. The next one is to really define your goals. And the third one is to really define your boundaries. What are your boundaries? What do I mean by boundaries? Boundaries are what you're like, how many hours do you want to work per week? What days do you want to work per week? How many hours, do you want to just do mornings? Do you just want to do evenings? So that you're not working beyond these times that you honestly don't want to have, because part of working for yourself is that you have a really good balance of the time off, time not working, because when you're working for yourself, it can be really easy to be working on your business all the time. And you want to be sure you create some boundaries upon time you're spending on your business and you're not in it, because it is just going to drain you out. Other boundaries are also in particular to relationships with clients, your 24-hour cancellation policy, your communication with them. And there might be some areas that you might think about for your boundaries, because a lot of people leave the gym because of the fact that they are working so many crazy hours and they don't feel like that they get some time off that they would like. And you want to be sure you don't do the same working for yourself. And that can also include time off that you take for vacation. So you want to make sure you determine and figure out what boundaries those are. All right, so that is the main details of the steps and actions that you need to take in the first component of like setting up yourself as an owner, your owner setup. The second thing you're going to want to set up is your legal setup. Now, I have to caveat, of course, I have to disclaimer, I am not an attorney, so please seek the advice of a legal professional as you need it. So I'm just here sharing what's kind of the typical things that you need to consider for setting up for your business. The actions that are underneath the legal setup is the first one is determining your business structure or business entity. Are you going to be a sole proprietor, which is fine. You can work as a sole proprietor, or are you going to get an LLC? There are options for S corps or other corporations, but that tends to not be a main choice when you're starting off and independent on your own. But oftentimes people choose to get an LLC. And it's pretty easy typically to get those. You don't necessarily have to go through an attorney, but you're going to want to check what exactly you need to do to get your LLC set up in your state. And this is a great time to use ChatGPT and say, I'm a trainer, I'm located in X state, and I'm wanting to get my LLC. How do I get that done? I mean, you don't have to tell it you're a trainer, but you're wanting to get an LLC. How can I do that in my state? And it will provide you the steps you need to do in order to take that. So a lot of just, LLCs, the benefits of having an LLC is the fact that it separates your business as a business and protects your personal assets. So that's why it's good to think about getting yourself at least set up as an LLC. So that is the first action step in your legal setup. The second one is getting the legal documents that you need. You want to either get these legal documents by working with an attorney, which can be very expensive, but it can be very custom to you, or finding someone that that templates that are created by an attorney. We of course have some here on the Solo Trainer website. If you're interested, they are handcrafted by a great attorney that are customizable with videos and all that. But you don't want to go the route of borrowing your legal documents from someone, because that's That's just can be like copyright also infringement. Like that's not right. Or finding something online and just going with it. You want to make sure you're well protected. There's no reason to risk your business because of it's a because of it can be expensive, it can be pricey, and you don't necessarily want to go the really cheap free route and risk your business. It's not worth it in the long run. It's worth it to spend the money to get something good quality. So these legal templates that you're going to need, the main ones are, if you have an LLC, you're going to need an operating agreement, and that helps. I'm not going to go into the details of like what the purpose of it is behind. I'll talk more about the operating agreement when we get to the talking about finances. But you'll need an operating agreement. Then you'll, of course, need contracts that you need between you and your clients, and that is the liability waiver and then a policies and procedures. The other thing is, if you're a nutrition, health, or wellness coach, you might need a coaching agreement between your clients. If you have a website, then there's a list of things that you also need to have for your website, such as a disclaimer and a privacy policy and terms of use, maybe terms of sale, those sort of things. I have created videos, or one or two videos at least, on the specific topic, on the details of this. So we'll be sure to link that in this show notes so that you can access that, so you can get a better understanding exactly what these legal templates, legal documents that you need for your business. The other thing that you also want to set up or do is some way that you could take clients' intake, health, and history, so they can document their health history. Do have a Part Q, so you want to look into that as well. So that is your second action under your legal setup. The third action you're going to need to do is to get business insurance. Get some protection, some professional liability insurance to help protect you in the event that if somebody was to sue you, or an injury was to happen or something like that, you have some protection against that. Other things that you might also need as for insurance is potentially an umbrella policy. Umbrella policy is an extra insurance. It's usually not terribly expensive or too expensive, that in the event that someone sues you, it gives you even more money that they can pay the claim and stuff with, and not be going after your personal assets. I want to asterisk this for those people that are thinking about training people out of their home, because I've experienced this for myself, is that you need to check with your homeowner's insurance, maybe even your renter's policy if you're renting a place, to see if they would still cover you with having people come to you and train wherever you live. That when we moved in this home, specifically when we moved in this home, we bought this home so that I could train people out of the basement of it, had a space to do that. When I let my insurance company know that that's what I planned to do in this home, they came back and said that they were no longer going to insure us, and we had to find another company that would. And we did find one company that took care of business, professional liability insurance, some umbrella policy, as well as covering for my home. So those are the three main actions that you need, steps to take, get your legal setup going, your business structure, your legal documents, and your business insurance. The third thing that you need to set up is all about your finances. This is about your financial setup. You need to separate your personal and your business finances from each other. You don't need to intermix the two of them at all. They need to be completely separate for numerous reasons. I guess I need to do the disclaimer. I'm not an accountant, so if you're needing more financial advice, please seek the advice of one. But this is just some good business finance practices. And so the first thing that you're going to want to do to make sure that you're financially set up is, number one, you're going to want to get a business bank account. To get a business bank account, banks often need to have that operating agreement that I discussed back when I talked about legal templates. And so the operating agreement, they usually ask for that document. And so you're going to want to help provide that to them. I encourage you to shop around when looking for a business bank account, because each one varies a lot on the features that they have, how much you are required to have in there at all times, how many other accounts you need to have, if you need to have a credit card through them in order, because it impacts fees. So you want to do some comparison for that and see which one might be the best fit for you. Of course, if you're wanting something that has actually a physical office versus something that's all virtual, that's also some things to consider. So get setting up your business bank account. The next one is, and part of your financial setup is determining your charging method, how you will be charging your clients for your services. There's lots of options out there for you to use, and you want to find something that is simple for you and your clients. Whether you use some sort of system where you can invoice them, you send them invoices and then they can pay you, whether you have something set up even for auto charging. Um, uh, you know, so um, where also you could do methods of, you can always do cash and check. I still have clients that pay me by check. Or also the methods of using like PayPal or Zelle or Venmo. Just you're going to, again, you want to get business accounts of those and separate. So you keep your business and your personal finances separate. So you want to get a separate count of those that your clients are paying you through. This is also a time just to kind of add in. I'll talk about a little bit more later about not the benefit of like not of charging people for packages instead of individual sessions, because if you're having to invoice and follow up with everybody for every single session, that's a lot of time consumption. And so you want to find some kind of system where it's kind of easy for you to take care of, and not too much time consuming. For you to try to, you don't want to be tracking down clients to pay for sessions singly, unless maybe you set up an auto charge or something like that. So that can be some sort of way. A lot of training platforms that are out there, like apps, can have ways that your clients pay you through. And so if you use those, that is, of course, an option for you to have. But of course, there's a lot of other costs associated. Any platform you use is going to charge you some sort of fee for them paying for your services. So that's just how it is, unless they personally hand you a check or uh, give cash. But you got to look at, do you need something else to help charge your clients? Is that return of investment worth it? So all right, so that is all about determining a charging method. The third action in your financial setup is determining how you're going to be tracking all your business finances. You need to keep track of your revenue, everything that's coming in, as well as all your business expenses, maybe even your mileage. If you're traveling, you need to keep track of your mileage, because that is something that can be used towards tax deduction, as well as when you pay yourself. The simple way, of course, is creating a spreadsheets within, Excel or Google Drive, and keeping track of all your finances that way as things come through. You could use a bookkeeping type software like QuickBooks, for example. That's what I use. I also use that for invoicing my clients. The other benefit of QuickBooks is that my accountant has access to my QuickBooks account. So she can see everything when it comes tax time. She's got it all. It's all right there. If I need help with categorizing things and stuff like that, she helps me with that. And which also just leads me to think about just a little note that if you don't have a tax accountant that you're working with to help you with your taxes and your business taxes, you're going to highly want to recommend you getting a small business tax accountant to assist you, because they know a lot more probably than you do about taxes and for small businesses. And at some point when you're making so much, you need to be paying quarterly taxes, and they help determine all that for you, because you can be penalized if you're not paying taxes throughout the year, and all of a sudden it's tax season and now you owe all this money to the IRS, or even I guess on the state level. So you want to you going back to the fact that you need to find some way to keep track of all your business finances, anything that you get auto charged for, that you are categorizing, that you are being sure that you're inputting all that data and information into somewhere if it's not happening automatically. Okay, so that wraps up your financial setup. So the next one for your setup is your marketing. Your marketing is all about your client. Now we're getting into the client stuff. A lot of people might jump jump ahead and they just start to go like, okay, I know you get into just I got to find clients and how do I find them, or this component of sort of what I call the marketing piece of it before they have the other set up. But my encouragement to you is you get the other stuff set up, and then this stuff comes. You can be thinking about it at the same time, but this kind of comes a little bit later. You just don't want to neglect the other stuff is what I'm trying to say. So in this marketing setup, the actions that are part of making sure that you're properly set up for that is one is really defining who your ideal client is. Who is it that you want to train? Who is it that you want to work with? Who are you most passionate about or just most enjoy creating programs for? It is very important as a trainer to niche down. It does not mean that you won't train people that aren't directly in that niche that you have. But if you're going to stand out as a trainer, you have got to niche down and really figure out who it is that your target market is that you're really good at, because that helps you to find everything else on trying to find your ideal client. You really want to enjoy who you're working with and what makes you happy. And some people are not a good fit, and because you don't want to work with just any warm body that's like needing a trainer. You really want to find the people that you feel that you can serve really well. So define who that ideal client is. What is that? I think a lot of people call this an avatar, because once you know and you can define that, then again, you can move on to the next step, which is then determining what services are you providing that client and what are your rates going to be. So the second step, the second component of setting up your marketing is defining your services and your pricing. So is it just going to be one-on-one training? Are you going to do group training? Are you going to do duet sessions? Are you going to do a combination with health nutrition kind of type coaching or online classes? Or, there's lots of options out there, and you got to figure out what services feel right and best for you. And then the pricing for your services. Now, this can be a big challenge. And so I'm just going to very briefly talk about determining your prices for your services. Couple of things for you to think about. One, maybe a few things, but one is do not underprice yourself. Do not, because you just are going out on your own, to discount your services, because then it's really hard to tell those people that got started with you that that you're charging a lot more. And don't grandfather people in on your pricing. I'm not a fan of that. So thinking of that, where to even start and begin is you're trying to find out kind of what your minimum hourly rate is. What is the minimum you want to take per hour working and training with somebody if they were like coming to you? And one way to sort of start with that is whatever your gym that you're at currently charges, there's no reason you should not charge that, if not more. So that can be a really good starting point. And we're talking about the minimum hourly rate. But then if you travel to people, you need to be charging more than that for the convenience for coming to them in their home or whatever location. That's time is money. So you need to be charging extra for that convenience. And again, with the minimum hourly rate, so if you know what you want to charge, then that's like your largest package. So I'm a fan of packages because it gets clients committed to longer. It's easier not to have to deal with charging everyone all the time. And so that would be like I do 12 sessions, and my hourly, with my hourly rate, my minimum hourly rate is multiplied by 12. And that's how much that package costs. And then I do a 6-session package, and then I do a 1 single session package. And so the hour per hour rate goes up based on that, of course, whether they, buy 6 sessions, and it's even more if they buy one session. So that kind of can help give you an idea on what your hourly rate should be. So determine what that is. And then if you're having other services that included, you want to factor that in all the time that you have. All right, that is the second component for your market setup. The third component is what I'm calling your public appearance for marketing. And that's what I'm referring to is your website, and social media. Uh, I'm a fan of a website. I think it's a great idea because it's so easy to share that with someone and they can share it with someone else. It's also a way for people to just sort of get before they meet you, they're sort of seeing who you are, what you provide, what you do. Those services are on there. I believe that I am a fan of putting rates on your website, so people already know what that investment looks like. So if they're reaching out to you, then they know that that probably the cost is not an issue. So it's just kind of a great way for people to connect with you. But then social media, if you're going to get involved in social media, or you're going to do it through your personal page, or you're going to have a business site, like what is your avenue for trying to reach individuals, and what is that appearance? What does that look like? But of course, you can't figure out how to structure your website or your social media unless you know who your ideal client is, because on both of those, you need, in anything that you're putting out, you need to speak directly to them, so that they know that you are the answer that they're looking for, and not just some general, like you're just trying to please everybody, but you're specifically trying to help somebody, so they can feel, okay, this person gets me, this is what I need. All right, so that wraps up your marketing setup. The fifth thing for you to set up, the last main fifth thing to set up, is what I'm calling building setup. And this is where it comes into the play of growing your business, getting those potential leads and turning them into clients. And the first action of your building setup is networking. Referrals are the number one way to get your business. And so you've got to get out there and start networking, getting in front of people so they can see you. Just because you build it does not mean they come. So networking can sound kind of not fun, but that depends on how you look at it, or how you kind of like, especially if you're really, there are those network people that can sort of just, they're clearly using you, wanting to use you, versus really develop a relationship with you. And so there's a difference in that. The first people to sort of talk with, of course, are friends and family, and let them know that you are gone off on your own and you're looking for new clients. Any current clients that you've had, or past clients, reaching out to them, say, hey, I've gone out on my own, I'm looking for referrals, that sort of thing. If your gym has a non-compete type thing for a certain amount of days, you'll want to abide by that. But that doesn't mean you can't ask your clients about referrals. Then it's also getting out there in the community, getting involved, or meeting with other wellness providers in the area, chiropractors, physical therapists, functional medicine doctors, other physicians, small business owners. Who could you talk with, collaborate with? Who could you barter services, or say, hey, or ask about, could I come and do a lunch and learn? Like, when I got on my own, there was so many networking stuff I did. I got involved in local chamber of commerce, that sort of stuff. You just never know the avenue that's going to be best for you to help and gain your clients. You also want to think about whoever you're seeking out to talk with, and whoever you're networking with, that they, of course, you want to think about those people, that where your ideal clients go and see, where are they at, and you want to find those and talk to those people. All right, so the second component, the second action in your building setup, is advertising. And just as I mentioned, you need to think about where your ideal clients go, and that will help you determine kind of where you should advertise. And I'm not talking about paid advertisements. I'm just talking about, whether you're posting something, or seeing that if you can get involved in some sort of newsletter where these people go. Going back to social media, where could you find them? Are there certain groups where you could get a part of and be in there? And of course, abiding by the rules of the group, could post their services and what you do. I was in part of a workout group I'm part of a workout group in my area. And I did get a client off that, because someone that was local in our area posted on there, hey, I'm looking for a personal trainer. And I said, I'm an option for you. And she chose to go with me. So think about all those areas of where you can sort of advertise your services for where your ideal client is at, or is there something that they read or look at that you could be, you could create an article for, or are they involved in some sort of thing where maybe you could invest in being a sponsor for some sort of event. I've done that before, given donation items of a workout basket, of training sessions. I've gotten a really great client off of donating some training sessions for a fundraising event. So some ideas for the advertising piece of building up your business. The last kind of component and step of your building setup is what I'm calling your sales structure, your sales funnel. You can get leads all day long, but if you struggle with how to convert them, you're not going to have the clients like you want. And so this is talking about sales, and sales can be a big struggle and challenging for us trainers, because it's, we're great at crafting programs, and only if they can start working with this will they realize how much benefit. But you gotta show them beforehand the value that you provide and your confidence and your professionalism. And that is in your sales structure. And that is creating a system. And what does it look like for someone to walk through the process of your first initial conversation with them? What information are you gathering from them? What information are you sharing, with not oversharing, but showing that you are the answer to what they're looking for? And then how you work as a trainer, and then talking about your prices confidently, without being scared, because we can be often scared about that, and asking that for that comp session if that's how you choose to kind of structure your business. So what does that look like? What does that communication look like that's between whenever you have that initial conversation and you're meeting them for a comp session? What does that communication look like? Do you send them an email with lots of details, to prepare them for when they're meeting with you, sending them an intake form for them to fill out, letting them maybe go ahead and see what your policies and procedures and liability waiver look like? And then your complimentary session, what does that look like? What structure do you have to that shows them your professionalism, your value, the service that you bring to them as a personal trainer that's specific to their goals and their reasons for wanting to work with you? What does the flow of that workout not? Well, I don't encourage it to be a complete workout, but maybe you're doing, reviewing their intake form, and you're doing an assessment, and maybe then you're talking to them about how you would program and create something specific to them based on their goals. And then in the end, be like, all right, when do you want to get started? So that having a whole process of that is going to help you as I've already said, it's going to help you with your confidence, your professionalism, and getting more people to say yes to your services than just winging it. So creating the sales structure is absolutely essential in order for you to build your business. So that wraps up the final part that you want to make sure you set up in your business in order for you to get started, and that's your building setup. So refreshing really quickly, the parts that you need to set up for your business, and you can think about them in these 5 buckets, is your owner setup, your legal setup, your financial setup, your marketing setup, and your building setup. And once you have all of these pieces and actions and steps in place, then you will be able to just go off trying to find those leads, gain them as clients, and start programming and really having this business that you want to have. If you're a little overwhelmed by everything I've just shared with you, it's understandable. There's a lot to it. And that's why I highly recommend getting that guidebook and checklist for you to use to help you keep organized. It has everything that I've just gone through and even more, because it covers more about how you can manage and run your business so that it's sustainable. So there's a lot more to that. So you want to be sure you grab that below, because I just want nothing more than, if you're deciding, I love being a trainer, but being on my own is going to be best. I want you to be successful at that, at creating that dream business that you want. All right, if you're watching this via YouTube, right over here is going to be the video on the legal templates and documents, so you can just click directly into that. Otherwise, you will find, again, for those listening for the through podcasting, that it's in, link is in the show notes. You can find that there. So all right, guys, until next time, here is to the great that awaits.